Where are you from?
Okay, so I am from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and that's where I was born and raised, and I made my way up to Texas to start my practice here.
Okay. Why did you choose chiropractic?
That's a great question. So I knew that I wanted to, when I was in my undergrad, I knew I wanted to be in the health field and help others and serve others. That was something that I've always wanted to do. Growing up, I was very naturalistic, holistic type of person. And I knew I wanted to try and help people in that way, in that form. So I was basically just trying to look for a career that would do that for me and that I could help other people through that outlet. So I was introduced to chiropractic through my dad, who actually was seeing a chiropractor when we were young. I remember he had a lot of hip pain. And so he would get adjusted often. I can't remember if I actually got adjusted or me and my siblings did, but I remember going with him to the chiropractor. So that was the first exposure to the profession. Then as I got older, one of my teachers from high school, her best friend was a chiropractor. And after I graduated and everything, we kind of stayed close and stayed in touch. And she had asked me, oh, what are you doing? Like, you know, what are you doing with your profession? Are you done school? That, this and that. And I was still in my undergrad. And to be honest, I really had no idea what I was doing. So she came and saw me and she's like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, honestly, I'm thinking about chiropractic just because I know a little bit about it. And I know it's very, it has a natural approach to healthcare. And so she was like, well, you know what? I have a best friend who's a chiropractor. Just go and just shadow her for the day.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I went and absolutely fell in love with the profession. Just the instant relief that patients got. People walked in like in pain and left smiling. It was just like the best thing ever. Yeah. So that's when I knew, okay, this is probably what I'm meant to do, and applied to chiropractic college, and the rest is history.
Okay. I noticed that like with a lot of doctors, like they're like, chiropractic kind of chose me in a sense.
Yeah, definitely.
What is your educational background?
So I did my undergrad in human kinetics, similar to kinesiology.
Okay.
I actually did not graduate with my bachelor's. I actually ended up doing 3 years, and I applied. In Canada, you can apply to a postgraduate degree after 90 credits of school. So that's about 3 years of schooling. Okay. So that's what I did. In my third year, I applied and I got in. So I actually never graduated from university and went right into my chiropractic doctorate. And of course, I have my doctorate.
What chiropractic school did you attend and why?
So I went to the Canadian Memorial Chiropractic College in Toronto. The reason why is that was the only one I applied to. And it was close to home. So I knew I wanted to be a little bit more close to home. As you know, or you may not know this, but the Canadian Memorial Chiropractic College is the only chiropractic college in Canada. Okay. So I was like, okay, well, if I get into this one, it's probably meant to be. So let's just stick to one. And that's what I did. And thankfully I got in.
With the Canadian board, how does that work when you want to practice in the States?
So you have to take you can decide to take both boards.
Okay.
If you just want to have both options just in case you end up moving back home or whatever the case is. But you have to take the American boards as a Canadian to be able to practice in the US.
Okay. So
so I had to go through everything. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's great. You're smart, because I heard Canadian boards are hard. So
they definitely are.
So how was your chiropractic experience at school?
It was new. It was exciting. It was very intense, I have to say. I didn't know what to expect going in, but I knew for sure it wasn't going to be easy. Mm-hmm. So it was a matter of a balance. to me, and trying to figure out, your middle ground on just how you can have a balanced life, be able to study, be able to do other things at the same time, because it is very overwhelming, to say the least. I noticed that in this first year wasn't too bad, because it was more so like a review of that I had already known. And thankfully I came from a science background, so most of the stuff that we were learning was familiar to me, but even more in detail. So it was even that more intense. So it was great. It was really fun. It was stressful at times, like ups and downs. It was, failures and successes, and we met a lot of great people, connected and networked with a lot of great professors and chiropractors and students and things like that. So it was pretty cool.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you had a great experience. How was your experience in the healthcare field, like as a minority?
So I'm Lebanese,
Okay.
and as a minority, I have to say the one thing that's affected me the most, I think, is being a female, more so than a minority, which being female is a type of minority.
Right.
But it hasn't really affected me too much. I'm gonna have to be honest with you. But definitely I can see where I was kind of facing some challenges was being a female in the profession.
Right.
I think every female, especially female doctors, will face this. And it's just a matter of being able to have the confidence, being able to have, a strong mind to get through some of the comments, to get through some of the just like relationships that you kind of build, and just being confident, being powerful, knowing that you're there to, do what you're meant to do, and trying not to focus so much on, the things that people say and people's reactions. And, maybe I don't know if you've experienced this at all, but some people may think, oh, like, is she going to be able to adjust me? Like, is she strong enough? Like those types of altercations and conversations that are had in the clinic, more so than, oh, she's a minority, she looks different, I don't know if I want to be treated by her, and things like that. One of the most important things is people have to understand that it's not so much about force, it's about technique, it's about speed, and just mastering. Like, if you're a smaller person, being able to practice different ways and skills that work best for you, and that, are going to be able to get the job done. So it's really not a matter of size, I don't believe personally, because I'm only 5'4", 5'5", and I'm treating, men and women who are 6 feet. So it's, and they're happy with their treatment, and everything is, they're healing and things like that. So it's really not a matter of size. It's more a matter of knowing where you lack, and, maybe someone that's your height may have more of an advantage and leverage, of course, but just knowing how to manipulate that and how to make it work for yourself.
My next question is, what is some advice that you know now that you wish you told someone while matriculating through chiropractic school?
That's a great question. One thing I wish I knew now. I definitely would say to be okay with failing, because I know a lot of people are afraid of that moment, afraid to fail an exam, afraid to, be put in a position that it feels uncomfortable, you're embarrassed, especially when you're in chiropractic school and you're with a certain group of people. It's hard to get through it without other people knowing, your position and your failures or successes, right? So I would say be okay with failing. Honestly, failing has taught me so much. I failed myself many times to the point where I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get through this or be able to, walk across the stage. So just know that you're not alone. Even the smartest people fail, right? So the biggest lessons that I've learned was from failure. So I'm super grateful for my failure. And another thing that I would tell someone is it's the way you look at it. So if you look at it as a failure, that's a negative, perspective. But look at it as a lesson, right? So you're learning from that situation. I would also tell myself, you know what, I'm getting another opportunity to study and another opportunity to get to know the material even better than the person who succeeded.
Right.
Does that make sense? So that's how I looked at it. And I would recommend so many other people look at it, because a lot of people, especially those who are used to getting really good grades and, have come from an undergrad and things like that. And they walk into a doctorate thinking like, oh, I'm okay. I can do this. Like, I've never failed before. Why would I fail now?
Yeah.
And then fail, and it hits them even harder because they've never experienced that before. So I would say be open for whatever, as long as you're learning. That's the main goal and the main purpose of it. So
right, I definitely get what you're saying with that.
yeah,
we took a couple of classes, but it's okay.
exactly.
So my next question is, did you start off with your own practice after graduating, or did you start off as an associate, and how was your experience?
Okay, so I actually started off as an associate, but when I was in my fourth year, I definitely thought that I was going to be someone who owned a practice, because that just runs in my veins, in my blood. I come from a family who owns a restaurant, so I definitely wanted to have that same opportunity with my own practice. Also, have that freedom to be able to, control things and grow a practice from the ground up myself. But just the way everything turned out, I ended up doing an associateship first, which I'm grateful for, just because I learned a lot that I probably would have not ever learned on my own. So it's a really great thing to find a mentor, find someone that you're comfortable with, that you're going to learn from, that you aspire to be like, and learn. And just know that it is, especially someone who does want to own eventually, just know that situation is temporary, and try and soak in as much information and learn as much as you can in that period of time, so that when it comes time for you to own your own, you're that much more ready, if that makes sense. So I do actually own my own practice right now because of everything going on in the world, COVID, and all the lockdowns and shutdowns. I actually decided to start a home practice. So now I'm at home and treating patients here. I know that my colleagues in Canada actually weren't considered essential in throughout the pandemic. So they actually had to, stop working altogether. Here in the US, we were considered essential. So we were working through the whole pandemic. Of course, with abiding by the regulations and things like that, but we were still able to treat patients. And now the restrictions have kind of calmed down a little bit, and they've pulled back a little bit. So we're able to treat, not like normal, but still treat.
What is the name of your practice, and why did you name it that?
So my practice is called the Texas Spine Studio. And the reason why I named it that is because I try and market more towards females and working moms and young entrepreneurs and bosses. And I just love treating women in general. So I wanted to name it something that was a little bit more feminine, but also you kind of understood that it was something with the spine. So I originally wanted to name it the Spine Studio, but unfortunately someone in my area has that same name, which is such a great name. So then we ended up putting Texas Spine Studio, just to be able to stick with Spine Studio.
So was that like your very first name you came up with, or you had a couple of names and you're like, okay, I'm going to go with this one?
No, I definitely was going back and forth between a few names. But I knew I definitely didn't want, just personally, I didn't want the word chiropractic in my clinic name. I just wanted to keep it more neutral. And so, yeah, I was going back and forth, but ended up going with Texas Spine Studio, and I'm really happy I did.
I like that name. It's cute.
Thank you.
How long have you been practicing?
On my own, in general, I've been practicing now for, it's going to be just shy of a year. But on my own, I've been practicing now since it's going to be about 4 months, I think, 3 or 4 months.
Oh, congratulations. Are you certified in any techniques like ICPA, sports chiropractic?
I'm actually not. I'm not certified in, I don't have any certifications other than my doctorate. But I am planning on doing a few for sure in the coming months and years.
Do you know like what exactly you want to get your certifications in, or is it still like undecided?
I definitely want to get acupuncture because I think it's just super helpful, and functional medicine as well. So functional testing, muscle testing, and things like that. So those are the main two. And then, I mean, hopefully I can do more because the more the merrier. But those are the two that I would love to focus on.
Okay. I noticed like interviewing a lot of people that attended Canadian Chiropractic Memorial College that they are like they do a lot of acupuncture, but it's probably because you guys are like given the chance to do that in school, like have the class offered to you. I think that's a great thing.
Yes. So our school actually offered a acupuncture course, and then you were able to also do. There was a few other certifications that you could do in the area as well,
Mhm.
and a lot of students were doing it in their 4th year, which was great.
Yeah, I think that's good. US schools need to look into that because that's great. Now, do you have a certain technique that you like to use on your patients? Or I know every patient is like, a different size and shape, so it varies, but do you have like that one technique that you always use?
Yeah, so the one technique that never fails me is diversified technique, which I absolutely love. That was one technique we pretty much mastered in school. We didn't really touch on many more techniques. The focus was on diversified, but that is my bread and butter. I love it. It never fails me with any patient, any size, pretty much any condition. It helps. Also, the activator helps a lot to have that in your toolbox, just because some people are not really comfortable with getting adjusted. Some people have certain conditions that they can't really get a manipulation with. So having activator with you is always a good tool just in case.
What do you do with patients who are like hesitant and, are kind of scared for you to adjust them, especially on like their cervicals and things like that?
Yeah, so I would say the most common is the cervical spine. A lot of people are hesitant. And it's very funny because it's less about what they say to you, it's more so their body language, right? So I know a lot of chiropractors who they're so passionate and they believe in it so much, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But sometimes you miss the whole just like concern that patients have about it. And
Mhm.
if you don't ask the question, that's one thing that I always do. I always ask,
Yeah.
because not because I'm like hesitant, but because some people just won't mention anything because they're afraid to say something.
Right.
So if we can clear the air before any treatment happens, and they can let me know, what their concerns are or reservations are about adjustments, then you're going to see that you're going to get more trust with the patient. Their healing is going to go a lot better because they fully trust you with everything. And you never know. Some people may get their first adjustment, and because they have that in their head and you never ask,
Yeah.
let's say it's a little bit painful or uncomfortable for them, or they didn't know what to expect, or it shocked them, or whatever the case may be, they may never come back, right?
Right.
But you were able to clear the air from the get-go and say, hey, like, do you have any reservations or concerns about getting anything adjusted? Some people, they don't like to get their fingers adjusted. Some people, it's their neck. Some people, it's their low back. It just depends. But I think there's so much power, and there's just so much power in asking
Yeah.
and being the first one. If you know for sure they're thinking it,
Yeah.
be the first one to ask, because then they're like, wow, like I didn't even have to say anything and she kind of knew,
Mhm.
right? Which just builds that trust, patient trust relationship. So um, I think that that's the best thing you can do for a patient. And it's also about being understanding, and you not being a chiropractor or knowing anything about it, and someone's about to crack your neck, basically, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
And position, Like being over someone, having full control of their head is
Yeah.
scary to people. And I completely understand it, right? Unless you have a background or you have experience in the chiropractic realm, it's very normal and common to feel some type of way about it, especially with like movies that we see. You know, every time someone gets killed in one of those action movies, it's like a complete neck twist. And, you know, a lot of adjustment videos actually scare people because of the noise. And so just being super patient, super thorough with the explanation on how it's done, where we're going to do it, do you have any reservations about it, and clearing the air that way is so huge.
Yeah, I definitely agree. One of my mentors here in Vegas, he's like, I just tell my patient to wiggle their toes. So like do something to distract them while you're adjusting them. But I agree because before came to chiropractic school, I never got adjusted. So
Oh,
yeah, when I came, I was like, please don't mess up my neck. You know?
exactly. It's so common, and it's just knowing that it's very normal, and don't not to get offended by anyone's comments, because they're the only thing is the thing that's missing, and the thing that's going to bridge that gap is just education. That's
Yeah.
it. Just letting them know what it's about, what the cracking noise is, you know, how it's going to help, what we're going to be doing, and explaining everything before you actually perform the adjustment is huge.
What is your favorite aspect about practicing?
My favorite aspect is helping others and serving others, just becoming more healthier versions of themselves. Longevity is huge in life, you know, helping people put years onto their life. Of course, getting people out of pain, because pain, we all know, is not fun. It can mess with a lot, you know, your mental state, emotional state, just your productivity in life. So who are not used to or have never heard of chiropractic, my favorite thing to do is educate them and introduce them to chiropractic. And then those who have heard of chiropractic, just helping them and showing them the things that I do that may be able to help them with some of the things they're dealing with. Another huge thing that I'm a huge advocate for is helping people either get off medication or prevent any kind of medication or surgeries in the future. So that's my complete mission in a few sentences. And that's what I live by. That's what gets me up in the morning. That's what gets me excited about treating people, and just being able to help in any way I can, and just giving back.
So for your practice, are you a personal injury, wellness, or just like a range of things?
So I stick more towards like maintenance and wellness type of care.
Okay.
Of course, corrective care for anyone that comes in with pain. I do focus on that as well. But as far as like personal injury or anything like that,
Mhm.
I don't really deal with that stuff. But I do a good job at referring people who do need that attention, or do need to go see someone who does specialize in that.
What is your ultimate goal to achieve as a chiropractor?
My ultimate goal is just to help others in any way. So helping them become healthier, helping them get out of pain, and showing them that there is a way that the body just heals itself, and that there's a way to do things a little bit more naturally and holistically than what we're taught by other doctors. My goal is also to listen. And I think being a good listener takes you a long way, just because there's really no place or no doctor or clinic that you can go to that spends, you know, an hour with you, or an hour and a half, whatever your new patient visit looks like, just to listen and really figure out what's going on and get to the root cause of things, and just help from there on. So that's one of my biggest missions. I just basically want to help people become better and healthier and happier versions of themselves.
What is some advice you would give a future chiropractor, or like a chiropractic student, or someone who's graduating right now?
That's a great question. Follow your heart, go for your passion. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to learn. And basically, whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve and you can do. If I always tell other students that ask me this question, if I can do it, you can do it, absolutely. So Don't be afraid to network and to get to know others and to start making relationships with others to help you along the way, because we can't do it alone. No one's done it alone. Especially getting through such a difficult and intensive program. Just don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. Don't be afraid to fail. Those are the three main things that I would recommend. And as you go along and your journey goes along and you get into your fourth year and you're ready to practice, make sure you network with other chiropractors, other professionals, just like this interaction here. Reach out and someone has gone through what you're going through and will be able to help you. I think one of the best things about chiropractors in general, we're super giving, we're super open to helping. We want to be able to lift others up, and that's what our profession is about. So the same thing goes with chiropractor to chiropractor, or student to student, or student to chiropractor, you name it. So those are the main things that I would say.